going to be a pretty quick form. We're all familiar with Sheriff Shake. He's been around for a while. Chuck's been around, but I just got to meet him this year. Going to give them each 3 minutes to tell us why they want to represent us. And then after that, you guys all get a chance to ask them a question. We're not going to write questions down because I'm a firm believer in owning your question. So if you got something for them, stand up, be loud, say it loud, and then they'll answer it best they can. Chuck, you get to go first.
On the proposal. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chuck Henman, and I'm running for the office of Sheriff on the Republican ticket. I've lived in this community now for 29 years. Worked at the Sheriff's Department from 1983 to 1999, where I left as a lieutenant, jail administrator. I worked my way up the ranks from deputy sergeant, worked 911. I did a variety of different things while working at the Sheriff's Department. Left in 1999 and went to Kirtland Community College. I'm a lieutenant there at their public safety department. I'm also an instructor of criminal justice and sociology. I kind of have a dual job. I'm a cop and teach people how to be a cop. Why I want to be your sheriff is I have a lot of different plans, a lot of different ideas of how the operation should go. I believe that the Sheriff's Department could do some movement now with some of the command staff because there's so many on days that we could move some to the night so we'd have a little better supervising going on and work on our patrols and our solve rates for our crimes. I firmly believe that if you're like me, you're going to get leadership and the buck stops here. If there's a problem, you're going to see me. And I'll answer questions, I'll take the hard questions. Controversy, that's all part of law enforcement. You go in and do the very best you can. Take care of that. My whole goal is to make sure that everybody here is safe and secure. And the only other campaign promise I've made to anybody here that knows is that I'll work hard for it. Thank you.
How do you follow that? I'm Mike Shea. I am your county sheriff. I've been the county sheriff for 10 years. 10 years this past Monday, in fact. I've been with the agency 24 years. A couple of things that I think are important, not what I will do, but what we're doing, is some of the things that are important to this community. For instance, I have 4 daughters, as many of you know. I want those kids and your grandkids to be able to enjoy some of the same privileges I did. When after school that they can walk to their local Subway and get a sub and go back, and you know what, not have to worry about getting offered dope on the way back and forth, not be able to worry about being picked up by some stranger in vans and so on and so forth. All of those things that we enjoyed. I don't know if you grew up in this community or not, but I did. And my kids are growing up here as well. It's important that law enforcement be diligent of all kinds of things, from suspicious vehicles to drug trends and drug trades and that kind of thing, so our kids can enjoy some of the same privileges we did as we were growing up in that community. And having told you that short story, law enforcement plays an integral part in what we're doing at the Sheriff's Agency, at the Sheriff's Office, each and every day, to make sure that our kids can enjoy some of those same privileges. I could go on and on with it. But a couple of things that we're doing too with 911 and the emergency communication. Utilizing what was quite antiquated 10 years ago when I got there. Things were just breaking down slowly, and through the help of the commissioners, and I see there's 2 commissioners here tonight, with the help of those folks and with quite a bit of effort, we have one of the best emergency communications in the state, and we're going to utilize the fiber optic, the broadband, I think it is, that's coming up 18. In any event, down there, we're going to utilize that for the future to become virtual. But it's important. You people have seen me. Everybody in here has seen me in the public. If you haven't seen me, you haven't been lucky, because I'm just about every event you are at some point or another. I don't think of it as a representation of the community, because I am the community. My family's a member of this community, 8 ways from Sunday. Our family's been a part of the community for 125 years. So it's important. My hopes are that my children enjoy those same benefits. So we do what we have to do as a community, working with each other to get the job done up there. So thank you.
So this is the easy part for you guys and the tough part for you guys. I hope it's tough for you guys. Anybody have any questions? Wow. See, this is the part that's going real fast.
I have a question. In a lot of communities, and they had mentioned tonight, they're ditching their local police and going strictly with the sheriff's department. And it's always bugged me that we have state police, city police, and sheriff's department. Why can't we have one or just 2 agencies? Wouldn't that be a better coverage if we ditch the city police and put more police on the street through the sheriff's department?
Wow.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Go ahead. Well, cities have their ordinances and they have their right to have a police department. Sure, if you could have always, if you could just have one local unit to serve everybody, that would be a great idea. But cities like to have, and villages and townships, they like to have some local control of what they want enforced. Many townships want more ordinance enforced. Same way some of the cities. So it would be, it's a nice idea, but really we have to convince cities to give up that control.
Because didn't Beaverton do that for a while? They got rid of their city police and went just with the sheriff's department and now they're back to the city police?
Mike?
Yeah, well, if you hadn't noticed, the post is closed in Gladwin. And there's been a consolidation where Gladwin MSP post, I think they had, 8 total at one time. Now there's, and this was to do with East Tawas, Ogemaw, and there was a consolidation at the Ogemaw post where they normally had some 40-some total in those 4 counties. Now they're down to, I think, Denny Harris. Denny Harris is a sergeant with the Michigan State Police out of Ogemaw. He told me they're down to 26 or 28 total. So they're essentially at half the ranks that they were when they were at their, I think they called it PAM, their so many troopers per specific geographical area. So they're about half of where they were. So they are down. There is a reduction there right now. Is that helping or hurting? It's hurting because we have to do more with less. You've heard that much times, turn on television, seen it more and seen it. We've had these discussions, haven't we, Commissioner Smith? And like for instance the city of Beaverton, in fact Officer Campbell's here tonight, we just had a discussion yesterday about the reduction in their hours. I would like them to have more hours down there because if they're not there or capable of being there, doing their community, there's a statute that says the sheriff, if the municipality is either unable or unwilling to provide law enforcement services, it falls on the sheriff. So do I want Beaverton City to have more time to take care of their resident? Absolutely. Our complaint load every year steadily, and you can FOIA this, in fact you can just drive up, I can show it on your computer, goes up and up and up every year, but yet the same number of officers, I can just say for the county sheriff's office, stays the same. We get the same amount of sergeants, we get the same amount of deputies, but when the complaint load goes up and the Michigan State Police become less and less, all that complaint load does is get shipped over to the county sheriff's office. So I hope that answers to some degree your question.
Deb?
Can you explain like the hierarchy of maybe the hierarchy of authority in say the county? You know, I've heard people talk, some friends of mine, that the sheriff would take the oath of to the Constitution, and he would be the law enforcement man of the county. He would supersede the state, the feds, and everybody. Originally that's the way it was, correct?
Yeah. The office of sheriff is the only constitutionally charged law enforcement. The rest of them are statutory law enforcement. So the statute or the legislature got together and said, let's make the FBI, CIA, city, MSP, but the office of sheriff, again, constitutionally charged the only elected office. Yes. In that, do I play who's stronger? No thanks. Never have. But I do know because there's enough work for everybody. In fact, there's more work for everybody, so I don't want to scare off the help. I mean, I'll put it quite simply. I appreciate the help.
As long as you guys, are getting along and working together properly, but if there's an issue, our man that we elect, we would trust to make the right decisions. If there was, anything wrong going on, hey, you're gonna have to just get out. This is our county, and we don't appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
What's your
example?
thought, Chuck, real quick?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, Mike's right. It is that's the only constitutional law enforcement here in the state. The rest are by statute. I didn't hear the last part of your question. The sheriff could move somebody out.
Well, there was a story about in Clare where the state police came in and started writing citations of some kind of a string operation on like farm equipment at one point. Some of it was heavy equipment, really hitting kind of hard, making a point that you got to secure your loads. They got really nitpicky and took a lot of paperwork into the prosecutor. But they weren't really state roads. They weren't really, highways. And what would you got to work with the state police, but would we want to be picked on? There are laws to follow, I understand that, but like a farmer, would he have to secure every time he moves a half a mile to comply with?
Well, I can answer that two ways. One, I worked in Clare County, and at the same time I worked for a sheriff who didn't like state police. We did. We took care of all the county complaints. They came in on occasion and basically worked 127 and 10.
Okay.
And that was their jurisdictional area, and my sheriff did not want them doing anything other than that.
So you as sheriff, what would be your position on that?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm willing to work with anybody. I mean, that's the whole thing. Mike's right. There's a lot of crime out there. There truly is. And the first thing we cut is normally law enforcement, fire, EMS. We have to work together. The sheriff's department has to work well with Gladwin City and also has to work well with Beaverton and the state police. We have to have that kind of unity. If we don't have that unity, as Mike says, you scare off the hell, because it is very, very difficult to do. There's a lot of complaints on it. There's, guaranteed, there's not a shift that goes by that says, gee whiz, I'm looking for something to do. They've got stuff to do. In the cities, they all have.
You say that the office of sheriff is constitutionally mandated. What are the duties by the Constitution that the sheriff's supposed to do?
Which one?
You first.
Me first. Constitutional duties is operation of the jail. Take care of the court.
Are they required to have a road patrol?
No, they aren't. They are not.
Mike?
Certain. Go ahead.
In the Michigan compiled laws annotated, the MCLA 40.1 to 60 to the end. I was just looking at that today. I'm really not that smart. I was looking at it today. There's a whole list of things in there. But is a road patrol a mandated service? Absolutely not. But in Gladwin County, if you didn't have one, what would you have?
Back kind of to what you were saying about being willing to work with the different departments. Now remember, we live in a small community and a lot of people talk. So I'm just going to say, there's been a lot. I've worked with spouses of every department. From what I understand, there's a lot of friction between departments. So my first question would be to Mike Shea as to, is there any truth to those rumors or allegations or comments from people in public? And what are you doing, or do you have to do anything to try to improve that? And to Chuck, it would be, what would you do to improve the communication and the work between the different departments?
Yes, there is some friction, primarily between individuals, not necessarily department. If anybody's ever supervised people, I'm sure you would understand what that means, that all your employees do not get along, even internally. There are some personality conflicts, that kind of stuff, so that is true. What have we done to rectify that lately? As of yesterday, I spoke with Officer Campbell that was here, and we rectified many of those things with the Beaverton City Agency yesterday. So, but I'm not going to elaborate on those things, but I think we've got to the bottom of most of those, and very, very beneficial conversation.
What would I do is to make it better. Bottom line is that to make it better, you've got to know the group, and you've got to be open and willing to be there to help. That's the whole thing. It doesn't matter who makes the arrest in my book. The goal here is to get the criminal. If I can help Beaverton City Police catch the person, yay. It helps Beaverton or Gladwin City. But it really is anymore. It has to be really a big teamwork. It has to be. And if you aren't cohesive, whether, as Mike said, there may be some personality issues. It can be more than personality issues. And we have to get past those because we're a public service agency. We serve you. The sheriff currently, and if I'm elected sheriff, I have 26,000 bosses. Every one of you vote. Technically, you all have a stake in this. You want us to get along. You want us to work well together. That's the goal that I plan on doing, is making sure that we do work well.
Smith.
I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the felony assault rate.
Sure.
You're saying that it's under 18%?
Yes.
Could you elaborate a little bit more on that, where you got the information?
I got the information from Michigan State Police. It's called Micers, and that information is available online through the State Police website. Micers is a Michigan crime reporting system. And every police agency has to report a crime. I will say that I have to thank Charlie Jones. He did all the analysis for me. But we went from 2002 through 2010. That's the available data that we have currently right now. And averaging out over those 8 years, we took out year 2007 because the state changed its system and kind of lost the data. You can't really get it. So really, you have 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8, 9, 10.
And those are dismal, very dismal numbers, so what is your reply on that?
The MICRs that Charlie's talking about, everybody that's in law enforcement knows those are only as good as the people that are doing the input in reporting those numbers. For instance, number one, for the 2002 numbers, if you remember when I was appointed sheriff, I was only a sheriff for a month or two of that year. In the meantime, we've actually did those things for the many years by hand, the old manual way for entry. So if you didn't get them entered, and the other thing is you had to update them. For instance, if we went out to a township and we had these storage shed B&Es, and each one of these individuals had a storage shed that was broken into, we would take a complaint number for each one in the county. And then we found out a week later that Mike Shea was responsible for doing them. The prosecutor's office, he would close out everything. We would only get a single arrest for a single number, and everything else was there. Even though Mike Shea did them all, we would only get a single number for all those complaints. For instance, 20 B&E, it's not uncommon to have these when they do those, and we arrest an individual, what you'll find is those things are tracked by way of a complaint number. Those numbers are only as good as the agency that's putting them in there. Anybody in law enforcement would tell you that. And we're not good at it yet, but as of about 18 months ago, we switched over to an area records management system. 18 months, 2 years ago, and now those data is actually put in. But it's got a lot to do with case supervision and making sure that we're getting credit. Before, the important thing to us, and even today, is that we got the Mike Shea off the street that did them all, and we didn't go back in and update it and get our credit where credit was due. So that's why.
So what are the numbers now?
The numbers are increasingly getting better. In fact, 2011, I think, statistics are available, and I don't know why those weren't part of that data.
I think that the last I looked, it was only to 10.
It was only to 10?
Yeah.
Oh.
And that would have been...
Well, it is a state agency, and they usually run about 2 years behind, so I think probably...
I got a question, and I just want to know what you guys think about this idea. I was driving home from Detroit today, and on the side of the road when I get to Southfield, there was this big blue bus. It's the sheriff's department, and all these guys were out the sheriff guy had a gun and all these guys were out cleaning up all the dead animals off the road and picking up the ditches and all that stuff. Just want to know what you guys think of maybe doing something like that for Gladwin County. I mean, it gives them an opportunity to get out, but it gives them an opportunity to get the sides of the roads clean and the animals off the...
I've always loved it. Two things. We have an insurance carrier that whenever you're putting these folks in there, they're your responsibility. So if they're twisting ankles, going in and out of ditch and that kind of stuff, there's quite a liability that goes along with it. When I say our insurance, I mean our. It's county and, you know, it's an MMR, what, an MMRMA, did I say that? Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority. In any event, those folks are the ones that insure us on many of those things. The other thing with it is if there's no income on the other side of that where somebody's paying us to provide that service, remember you still have now an additional corrections officer and additional transportation, so there's costs that are added to that that aren't on the other side of that. I researched that when I became the sheriff the first time, and I don't know how Charlie feels about it, but I did quite a bit of research on it initially. I love the idea, but it's just not necessarily cost effective.
I love the idea. I did it when I was jail administrator. I used to put 20 or 30 people out. They built softball fields. If you put low risk out, you can usually, without a problem, you had city workers watching, you had volunteers watching, so there was really no cost to anything. What we did, as Mike said, there is the entry, we bought insurance. There are insurance carriers out there, $6 an inmate, cost me any other, we take it out of the commissary account, profit. I think we paid, my last year there in '99, about $150, and it covered all 72 inmates, up to the first $5,000 if there was an injury. But the other thing is those that when you let them go out, obviously, if they don't know how to operate a lawnmower, if they're going to go mow lawn, somebody's got to train them first, and we can always work with those people to make sure they understood how to operate a lawnmower, as an example. And so I've been highly in favor of that, is because number one, it puts back into the community. You're paying for them, out of your taxes. You pay for them. You give them 3 hots in the car. We can, by law, require to have them pay us back. But as some people have always said, it's hard to get money out of a rock.
Back in the 80s, didn't they do that? They went up and worked the fairgrounds or something, and they hired like an individual to just keep watch over them. I remember that.
Yeah.
City leaders used to get them too.
Yeah, I know, all the cities.
I mean, that's back in the 80s.
It's not, you know, the point being is that it is something that, you know, I think it's, you know, us, you know, it shows that, you know, we're trying to have people not only get rehabilitated, because a lot of those work projects, when you have community members out there, they used to hire some of our people right after they got out of jail. So it's kind of a twofold thing. You find a good worker, that might have a substance abuse problem, but if the individual is willing to work, that's one less person I/you have to pay for.
Instead of, can I just briefly?
Oh, sure.
Instead of just
We
putting
got 45 minutes till debate.
well, instead of just letting low security out, we have criteria. Like, by the way, those people still get out, but on usually a one-on-one or a one-on-two basis. That, for instance, VFW comes and gets these folks, but I've got a criteria where no felons get out of there. I don't think they're deserving of that time off their sentence and so on and so forth. Pre-sentence individuals, folks that are still pending, waiting to see somebody on the bench to find out what their sentence are, they're a flight risk, they don't get out anymore. The other thing is anybody that finally is sentenced on a low security goes to see a medical person to make sure that they're medically fit to get out. And some of those things are happening right now, but we don't have them operating power equipment and that kind of stuff where they can get hurt. So is it going on today? Absolutely. Is it a reduced amount from just letting 20 members go out? Absolutely. I want that down. I want these people there because the way I got figured, they might be with you taking care of the Little League field, but I want them under your direct supervision, and you're directly responsible for the inmate when they're down there, because we've got a community at
So
stake.
all these
I
guys
don't
have,
like
they had
20
the
of
sticks
them
with the
going.
bags, picking up the trash, and the other 3 had the deer on the side of the road, and there was a truck, and they put them in there, and then they would, and that's all they were.
Yeah. I just say, it's going on right now, but at a very visited, very regimented aspect.
Anybody else?
This question's for Chuck. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. It's pushing into your personal life. What kind of ties do you have with the Beaverton city manager? You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
What kind of ties do I
Okay,
have?
what kind of relationship do you have with the Beaverton city
He used to be
manager?
my boss. He used to be the undersheriff.
Okay.
Then he was a road deputy under me when I was a sergeant. And I think he was a sergeant when I was a lieutenant.
Would you ever take advice from him? Is the sheriff advice?
Well, advice, yeah, I can, everybody give me advice. It will be that point of if I'm going to need to use it or not.
And I want to go back to you said you were running against Mike Shea because you wanted more bosses on nights, less on days. What happens so much in Gladwin County at nights that we need more personnel at night?
Well, we have a lot of B&Es, we have a lot of drunk driving going on. I mean, just regular crime that goes on. It's 24 hours a day, but I believe that at night it's a lot easier than daylight to commit a crime. And having more people out there, being able to work, you have more options.
Can Mike Shea tell us his command staff then from Monday through Friday on an average 8 to 4 day, all the way from the road patrol, as in the sheriff, all the way down to the lowest deputy and dispatchers, as assistant dispatchers, directors, as a sheriff, undersheriff, lieutenant, what all you have as a command staff?
Well, there's myself, the undersheriff, and the administrative lieutenant, Lieutenant Rabideau. He's there, that's our command staff. There Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. And dispatch, Jim Cuddy is our detective, but it makes sense that he does it. Every detective works Monday through Friday. And 911, we have a director and an assistant director, but their shifts vary, they overlap. One comes in early, one comes in later, and of course, 8-hour shifts.
And can you describe your command staff at the afternoon shift and the midnight shift then?
Yeah, afternoons, what we have is we have 2, and we're actually, there's no afternoon and midnight, we're on 12s. And we have a sergeant on with 2 deputies. And when that sergeant's off with those 2 deputies, the other sergeant's on with the other 2 deputies. So there's essentially midline supervision at night all the time, unless, of course, one of those folks take a vacation day.
So it's safe to say between road patrol and dispatch on an average Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 day, you have the sheriff, the lieutenant, the undersheriff, a director of dispatch, and an assistant director, so you have 5 people on the command staff, and then the afternoon and midnights combined, you only would have 2 sergeants, 1 for afternoons, 1 for midnights.
Well, we don't work just a normal day, as you know. They're 12. When I'm there, for instance, I'm here right now, so I can't be there, and this is a lot of what I do. So to depend on me to take a road patrol situation or supervise directly individuals would be ludicrous, for lack of better word. The undersheriff that's there takes care of the operational needs of the sheriff's department, i.e. vehicles and so on and so forth. To compare that with 911, 911 is the one where your emergency call center, and they generate their 9 people that they're supervising. So to lump them in with what it is I do or with what an undersheriff does, it's like comparing apples and oranges, really.
Are they licensed or certified law enforcement officers?
No, you're not there now.
Some of them are retire may be still certified. They have a different role than the sheriff department itself.
Judge Evans was saying, are those folks that are in 911 certified or have law enforcement authority? And the answer to that question is no. They don't. They are call takers and 911 emergency call takers and don't have the same authorities that a road patrol deputy that you see do.
At one time we had a retired state trooper and a retired, he still has a retired deputy.
But they're not certified anymore.
Yeah, that's the question.
Sharon.
I guess I want to know, both of you in your opening statements said, why you were running, et cetera, et cetera. And I guess in my mind that we're voting on November 6th, so sometime that night or November 7th, one of you is going to be sheriff and the other one isn't. How are you two, can you two see yourselves for the betterment of this community, and I'm talking about Gladwin County, on November 7th, can you see you working together?
Absolutely.
No problem.
Okay.
I guess we're going to save me for last. Somebody want to explain to me the difference, Chuck, difference between a rumor and a tip?
Rumor and tip.
What's the difference between a rumor and a tip?
Well, the rumor would be is that you're really a Democrat, and the tip would be is that you actually signed up for the Democratic Party.
Very good.
Good answer.
I can't top that. I'm with Chuck.
So if somebody were to have a long, if somebody were to tell you, hey, I think I see smoke rolling out of a house, would you go check on it?
Yeah.
Sure. If we had a house burning for 20 years and nobody's checked on it, who's responsible? I think Mike knows this is wrong.
If we had a house burning for 20 years, I guess, okay.
Do you think somebody might have said something?
Well, I would hope so. It would, after maybe 10 minutes, I was hoping somebody would say something, but I understand how we're doing.
My question is, and this is probably more from Mike, I read through a report recently, and you were a liaison officer.
Yes.
And you stated that while you were a liaison officer, you had heard rumors. At what point do you take it from hearing rumors to investigating it that would have cut maybe this off at 10 years instead of 20 years? Because
Good question. Well, first thing is when you're hearing rumors, you got to be able to. Were you born and raised in Gladwin County?
I'm a transplant. That's probably why I'm pretty much, and I'll be quite honest with you, I'm insulated from some of the heat that some of my other friends that are taking for making this a public knowledge issue, because it needs to be a public knowledge issue.
And I don't mean to ask you a question, but in Gladwin County, in Gladwin and Beaverton, and just about wherever, we hear rumors daily.
Okay.
Fair enough? Now, do you go investigate each and every one of those, whether you're in law enforcement or a parent or an educator or a justice or whatever you are? We probably hear many things that are...
Can I answer that real quick though?
Yeah.
Level of rumor. House is on fire. Your dog I just seen running around the backyard. Or your kid was up at the bar. There's a level of rumor. There's a burning house. There's smoke rolling out of the classroom. So we have to quantify the rumor.
I guess
Rhetorical.
I don't want to answer your question.
Just rhetorical.
Okay.
We get your point.
All right. So I guess my question is, what kept you from looking into it, or did you look into it and found nothing?
I never had any person that came to me and said, this is what's going on when I was there. Now, mind you, I was there 10 years ago. and I didn't have a student, anybody like that, or administrative staff come to me and say, this is what's going on, Mike. Or, you know, of course, a rumor has to be verbally got to you somehow, or a telephone call or written communication. They didn't have any of that. You know.
Okay, but you heard rumors.
That's what I'm trying to talk about. You know what I heard the other day. I guess I don't know where you're going. You know.
You didn't seem surprised by the fact that this was going on when you interviewed.
Well, I did. In fact, had I known it was going on, he'd have been held responsible 10 years ago when I was there.
Hey, I can interject. Let's just say, I wish for all those years. We were lucky to have a liaison officer in that school, and I've been thinking, man, that must be what we need. And I'm saddened that the parents didn't go past the administration. You know, because all we've got is what we've got. And I encourage all you that are here, that if this ever, you know, say this goes awry, and say, I can't imagine, but, or another school district, or teach your kids, if you're older than us, and we're the parents, and hey, don't stop with the superintendent. Go to law enforcement. Stay diligent, and don't let it fester. That's what you guys should be telling the public too. You know, not just right now, but I mean, that would be on your mind. And okay, you guys got to reach out to us. So.
It's hard to second guess Beaverton City. I wasn't part of that investigation, so to field these questions when I wasn't part of the Beaverton City investigation, other than I think Officer Primo came in and, hey, you ever hear anything? No, that was the end of that. I wasn't getting a lot of...
And you know, we and you had a lot of interaction. Yeah. I respect Mike. I don't want anybody here to think I don't respect Mike. I think Mike is a great guy. And I physically cried over that report. And I just, for the life of me, we talk about safety of our kids right here at the beginning. And for the life of me, I don't understand if I heard a rumor about anything as a police officer. I don't know. I'm not in your shoes, Mike. That's why I had to ask. I think it's a fair question. Our kids are supposed to be safe in them schools, and if we hear rumors, if somebody comes up to me and says there's smoke going out of the room, I'm going to go look at the damn room and see what's making it smoke. So Mike, I love you, man, but wow, this is rocking this community, and it needs to. I'm sorry, I'm part of the problem with why it's rocking this community, because I put it out there for public knowledge, because there's too many people covering things up.
Let me put it to you this way. I got more in this than you do. I got 4 daughters at a time.
I know.
So, if we're doing a comparison.
Everybody here, if you're praying, folks, get on it. A lot of people need help. That school board needs help. Our law enforcement needs help.
And I don't want anybody to think I don't have bad respect for Mike, because I do. Does anybody else got anything? I didn't mean to end it on a bummer.
The only thing, obviously, I haven't seen any of that, so I've heard rumors for years, or not years, I haven't heard the rumors. I've heard the rumors.
Careful what you say, because we will hold you accountable. I will come back to haunt you, Mr. Evans.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
If you were the one that put that on there, that didn't happen. But,
I think you should say something didn't happen if we put it on there. I don't know.
no. Okay. But back, you're kind of making an insinuation that this happened at school. I don't think anything happened.
Oh, no, it did. Did you read the report?
No, I didn't. That's
Please,
what I said.
okay.
I didn't read
Is it only available on Facebook?
Well, that's where I have it.
Yeah, I think I've got it.
But you can go to the city and you can request it for you.
$40.
It's how much?
$40.
$40 for a flash drive. Or you can get it for free. But I'm just saying.
I want to say something. I'm not going to talk about that individual, but I will say something. I know people that have put a lifelong career into Beaverton rural schools, including my mother-in-law, who's as a retiree from there. This individual, or maybe a handful of individuals that might have did whatever that is without even commenting on that. But there's a lot of people, hundreds of people that have came and went as educators, transportation folks, paraprofessionals, and so on, that are Class A individuals. So to itemize it that it's Beaverton schools, I didn't even employ there, and I would take offense to it. So you can comment how you want, and I probably shouldn't be on the soapbox, I'm running for office, but ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of good-hearted, great, wonderful people that are still employed there.
And we can say the same for Democrats, there's a few of them.
We can say the same. We're
Amen.
great Democrats.
I can comment on that because I'm very personally attached to the issue. That I was standing at the Beaverton Food Center getting snacks the other day, and somebody said, I don't even know if I want to put my kids in Beaverton school. I, of all people, would probably pull mine out, but I still trust Beaverton Rural Schools. There are people that need to not be there, but Beaverton schools are no different than Gladwin schools. This was Gladwin school in 2008, folks. Again, go to Gladwin City Hall, file FOIA. It's no different. It's just we, as the community, have to take responsibility also. I question Mike Shea, just like Kurt just did. In a different way, different format, not in public. I question him that same way. I respect his answer. We, as a community, have to take responsibility. And them, as the Board of Education, have to do something.
Amen.
But it's no different than Gladwin. Gladwin just hasn't festered to this level yet. So yes, you should put your kids in Beaverton Rural Schools. There's a lot of great people there. There's a lot of great people in Gladwin schools. You just got to get rid of the bad apples.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is a very raw subject, so I'm changing it.
Good, thank you.
I'd like to address my question to Mike first, and then Mr. Hinman, second. But we need you to speak up, Mr. Hinman. Not good acoustics, real back here.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Gladwin County has 2 cities, correct?
Correct.
How many townships?
15.
15. And how many square miles do you have to cover?
I think there's 530, 530.
580.
580. Is it 580 there? There I know. I know it was 5, I thought it was 530, but that's all
I
right.
was going lower, I was going 526, but.
Yeah, okay. That's a good Google question. But a lot of square miles.
Right. Okay. I don't care day shift, night shift. How many patrols are out there on a shift?
At any given time, what we our goal is to keep 2 cars out.
2 cars on the...
Yeah, we try to keep 2 cars out as often as we can. Now, mind you, if there's days off or there's sick days or training days or the variety of reasons. For instance, I had 2 of my guys on 12-hour shift that I had to make a difference today because they were in a trial all day long today and testifying, and they're supposed to work nights. Well, I can't work somebody 24 hours. It's an unsafe situation, so those are when we have to take some folks and cancel their days off, and guess what? There's 2 guys working tonight. Wasn't the 2 guys I thought was going to work when they come in at 8 this morning, but surprise for both of us.
Mr. Hinman, there's been some speak about friction between departments. We have city police, we have state police, and then we have the sheriff. Okay? The sheriff's office is obviously at the bare bones to cover so many square miles. The city police are only dealing with their cities. The state police are dealing with larger than 1 county, generally on a post. So what would you do to just work on removing that friction?
Again, my goal is to, with Beaverton and Gladwin cities, make sure that we have good open communication, be able to discuss if we do have issues, but the biggest is that we share information about complaints. Because what we may solve out in the county may take care of some of Beaverton's problems and some of Gladwin's problems, and vice versa. That's where you really have to work together. Keep those lines of communication open. If there is problems, we got to work on it. And we've got to make it so that we are a cohesive unit. Because we are small. Everybody is small. And if Mr. Walters right, 580 square miles. You sure don't want to be at the north end of the county needing a police car right away, and the car's in the southeast corner. You got a ways to go.
One question before we go on. The sheriff in Saginaw, Federspiel, I have a friend that's on the sheriff's department in Saginaw, and he says that he does 2 shifts a month on the road. Would you consider, if you were elected sheriff, to do at least maybe 2 shifts a month on the road? And his philosophy is you can't talk to the people unless you're out there.
Well, I can get a patrol car anytime. That's always fun.
I was out Monday night taking care of a fatality accident, freezing my whatever off. I know what it's like to be on the road because it had to be a fatality accident in front of my house. And that's not uncommon to see me. A week or so ago, we had the accident at Howard and 18, and the list goes on and on. I many times don't put on the uniform, but like direct traffic in this with an appropriate orange vest or whatever, as easily as I can in a Class A uniform. So I'm already in.
Anybody else? Anybody going once, going twice, go home and watch. Wait.
I have one comment. The problem that everybody's talking about in Beaverton, okay, I don't have any kids there, I have nothing at stake there. But I will offer this advice to those of you who have children there and have grandchildren there. Talk to your kids, talk to your grandkids, communicate with them. It starts by being a parent. When your kids trust you enough to talk to you and communicate with you, then you can bring the problems to law enforcement, then you can bring the problems to the superintendent of the school, or even the teacher. But as long as you've got a blind eye to what they're doing, or can't pay attention to them, or communicate with them, the problem is going to fester and it's only going to get bigger.